Hi, I'm Debbie Holloway with Crosswalk.com, and today we're speaking with Emily Freeman, the author of A Million Little Ways from Revel Books.
This book was inspired by, honestly, as simply as this, an email I got from my friend Amy Downs. She and I both write books, but this was sort of right when we were first both starting to write books. Our first book was coming out in 2011, both of us. And so it was New Year's Eve, right before 2011, 2010. And I sent her an email sort of freaking out about the fact that this is the year that our books are coming out, and this is kind of scary, and it's kind of fun, but also terrifying. So I sent her this email like that, right? And she said, 2011, we will make art. But what happened then is I started to think about making art with my hands, sort of with my vocation. I wondered, is it possible to also make art with my life? And what might that look like? And so this book really was born way back then, a couple years ago, from that email that Amy sent me that night on New Year's Eve.
That's great. And you do talk about being born to make art, being made to live art. Talk a little bit more about what that means.
I ended up back at the very beginning of the Bible, where in the first chapter, in the first verse, Genesis 1:1 says, in the beginning, God created. And I like to do my own version of that, which is, in the beginning, God made art. And as a few verses later, we see that he made us in his image. And so if we are made in the creative image of God, this God who's an artist, we're made in his image, then perhaps there's something really important and intrinsically creative within me that being connected with him and made in his image, bringing that out, there's something really artistic and beautiful to that, to me. And that's something that I really think is important to explore.
How did that change of perspective change your faith?
When I think about creation, if you think about the way that God created in the very beginning, he didn't use these tools like a hammer and a nail and a conveyor belt and an assembly line, like sometimes we have to use to be efficient. He used intimate tools of breath and of voice, and he breathed us. He spoke the world into being, and then he breathed and he put life into man and into woman. And so there's something very personal and intimate and almost sacred and private about that, to think about this personal God who the life of human life began because he breathed out. And so for me, how has that changed my faith? To realize that God is not a technician, but is an artist, makes all the difference to me, because this is a God I can't predict and I can't control, but he is infinitely loving, and he has put himself into me in a way that is almost, can be terrifying in a way, but it's also really, really beautiful.
So would you say that everyone can be an artist? Because I'm sure some people would be skeptical about that.
I think they would. I think the reason why people are skeptical is because they don't see themselves as artsy. Like, I'm not an artsy person. I can't sing, I don't paint, I don't make sculptures. But remember, our definitions of art came after the first artist made art. And so if we're made in his image, I really believe, now I don't mean to say that everyone's an artist by vocation, or that everybody would make money doing art, but I do believe we're all artists by design. And that might look like painting, or it could look like parenting, or it could look like being, what I like to say is it's about being fully yourself in the presence of others, being brave enough to move towards what makes you come alive. So many times we think that we have to come up with something beautiful and grand, especially when you think of things as art. You think, well, I don't have a talent or a skill, or I haven't perfected this thing and I can't, or even like, I'm a mom and I'm exhausted and I have nothing to offer today. But the beauty of the gospel, the way I understand the gospel, is that Jesus says your weakness is your offering. And your smallness is your offering, and bring your anxiety into my presence, because this is your offering. It's not up to you to make it beautiful. That's my job. And I really believe that if we can start right where we are, who we are, with what we have to offer, really, really beautiful things can come of that. When you feel like there's something within you that you want to get out, I'm hoping that for people that this book will be simply not a how-to guide, but maybe a kind companion to bring out of you something that's already within you that maybe you've forgotten is there.